Hey everybody, welcome back to the Coderoom. Okay, today's episode is all about diving a little bit deeper into HTML tags, okay? So all up until now, we talked about that HTML tags are the building blocks for any HTML document, okay? So we looked at the HTML tag, the head tag, the H1 tag, the P tag for paragraphs and headers, all these different tags, okay? And when we looked at those tags, they had a very similar structure, right? They always had an opening tag and a closing tag, and then something in the middle, all right? And today's episode, we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into that structure, because we're gonna have to understand that structure to get into more complex tags that we're gonna use in future episodes, okay? So if we look at our initial discussion, we talked about that tags were something like this. They have an opening tag and a closing tag, and the opening tag had some name, and it had a forward slash to close that tag, right? It always had a less than sign and a greater than sign to complete that. And we can see that sprinkled throughout the document that we've been working on all this time, right? So this is what the tags I've been looking at, right? And some of these tags had stuff in between them. Well, actually all of them do, right? So in the HTML tag, we have all this stuff that's sitting in between it. For the title tag, we just have this Casey Lee website that's sitting in between it, right? So we have stuff that sits in between it, okay? So let's break that down a little bit into some names here. So this is typically what we've been dealing with the tag, okay? So you have a tag, and it has a tag name or an element name, okay? Element is sometimes another thing that people use to describe these things, okay? So tag name, and then what's in between it, we actually call that the content, okay? So what's in between is actually called the content. So we have the tag, the closing tag, and then what's in between it is called content, okay? So when we look at our document here, the content of the HTML tags is all this stuff. The content of the head tags is all this stuff here. The content of the body tags is all this stuff. The content of the first H1 tag is movies. Content of this paragraph tag is movies has always been a big part of my life. Those kind of things, okay? So that's what's called the content of the tag or the element, okay? So again, element and tag are sometimes used interchangeably. So this is what we've typically been dealing with, okay? Now, I'm gonna add one extra piece to tags that we haven't learned about yet, and that's called attributes, okay? Attributes can be added to tags and it'll give them certain behavior. And knowing what those attributes are really depends on the type of tag, okay? So how do we put attributes on a tag? All we do is we add them to the opening tag, okay? So here we have the opening tag, the content, and the closing tag. How do you add an attribute to that tag? This is how you do it. Just by adding it, okay, to the opening tag. You see, I'm still within the less than and greater than sign of the opening tag. And the only thing I've added is this little piece of text here. Okay, and that's known as an attribute. Okay? And the attribute will have a name itself and a value, okay? And you'll see this come into play later on, and different tags have different attributes, okay? And they control the behavior. It's almost like saying, like, you know, you as a person have attributes. You have hair, you have hair color, which may be brown. You have hair color, which may be black. You have eye color, which may be hazel. You have eye color, which may be green, okay? You have any of these kind of things, okay? So that's what attributes are, okay? They're things that you can attach to the, they're values you can attach to the tags that give them certain behavior. And the way you add them is by their name equals their value, okay? So let me show you again the difference between the two. So here's what we're used to, and we're just gonna add something in between here, a name and a value, okay? Now, these are just generic kind of structures. Let me show you a real example. Here's a real example of a tag that we are going to use in future episodes. Okay, it's called the anchor tag or the A tag. Okay, now if we didn't have this attribute, okay, if I just took that away for a second, this looks like a regular tag, right? You have an opening tag, a closing tag, and some content in the middle. Now we've added this idea of attributes. Okay, in this case, the attribute's name is called href, and its value is all this stuff in here. Okay, so in between quotations, you have a value of it right there. Okay, so this is the new thing we've added to tags is attributes. Now that you understand this, we'll be able to go on to the future episode. See you at the next one.